this right here is the MacDev XDR. The XDR is MacDev's new, I was going to say entry-level paintball gun. It's definitely not entry-level. It's $850, so it sits like slap in the middle of that mid-range. There's quite a few guns in that mid-range market now. I mean, we have, you know, the 170R from Planet Eclipse. Dye just released their DSR. That's $1,000, that DSR Plus. So there's a lot of good paintball guns that fit in that $1,000 price. And if we switch over to our top view, that wasn't really working earlier, so it's requiring me to hit extra buttons. Can I like zoom out on that? Nope, that's all the way out. So that's the case that the XDR comes in. I've had this for quite a while, so they don't come all like, you know, beat up like that, but quite a while, I mean by like a couple months, maybe like a month and a half, and it's just been kind of sitting around. So it's not like, you know, the most durable case ever. I think that these Lux cases are going to be very similar, you know, in like style. They're both of that like, I don't know, kind of like softer carbon fiber stuff or whatever. But I don't know, where was I going with that? The Lux ones seem a little bit more durable. That's the whole reason I like brought that thing up here. XDR. So let's open XDR and just, I don't know, see what's inside this thing. It's a pretty big case. I mean, you can see it's big, but it's really narrow, which I kind of like. I mean, it's not like, you know, fat. So it kind of, I think, slides into gear bags a little bit nicer. So obviously, we're going to get manual. It's typical manual. I mean, it's kind of what you'd, you know, sort of expect. I'm going to turn this light on. Put this light over here, and it made this like area a little better. Barrel cover. Barrel cover. Charging cable. My jaw itches. And spare parts kit and some Allen wrenches. So there are, whoa, Allen wrenches are flying out of there. Just some spare O-rings. There's some spare ball detents in there. Some spare screws. And grease. XDR. There she is. So like I said, this is going to fit into MacDev's kind of like, I don't know, $1,000-ish price. So these are $850. They do make a mechanical frame, which I'll grab here in just a second. I've got that hidden over there. They do make a mechanical frame. It's going to sell for an additional $250 to make this thing $1,000. And I always forget these are reverse thread. They're going to be $1,000 with that mechanical frame. XDR. And one thing I don't really know, I like sit here and I'm like, man, I just don't know a ton about the MacDev guns, right? Like, I just don't have a ton of experience with these things. I mean, we have like so much more experience with the Dye guns, the Luxes, the Planet Eclipse guns, the Empire stuff, just those bigger manufacturers. So these things, I look at this and I'm like, man, MacDev has their high-end gun, the Prime XTS, and I don't know. I couldn't even really honestly tell you what the difference between the Prime and this gun is, right? There's a $500 difference, and more than a $500 difference. It's almost a $700 difference, and I honestly don't know, right? Like, I mean, it seems to have all of those high-end features that the Prime has, right? I mean, it's got that really good OLED screen, those screens I really like. You know, it's got the same bolt system almost as the XTS. It's got that infinity drive system, which they've changed a little bit in the XDR. They've kind of changed up that valve part. There's a big stem kind of poking off this section on the XTS. So they pared it down, made it a little bit more simple. But honestly, like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what the difference is between this XDR and their Prime, their higher end guns, right? There's just such a minuscule difference that it's hard to say. And here is that mechanical frame. So mechanical frame is kind of neat. So you really do just kind of take off the electronic frame and just screw on that mechanical frame. It's pretty easy to install, but it's $250 separately, whereas with other guns, you know, like the CS2 or whatever, you can get those for $200. but they, I guess, don't include that ASA and regulator, so they are a little bit more money if you want to add on that POPs ASA. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, the trigger's not adjustable, so it's kind of just as it is, which I guess is not the greatest thing. Yeah. The MacDev XDR. Hopefully we'll have a review on this thing pretty soon. I actually went out to the field a couple weeks ago and played with the thing, so it's been played with. One of the things that I've always really liked about, we'll put that back here. Hold on. I'm gonna grab, let's just grab this. I'm gonna grab my tank. Okay, it's back. One of the things that I've always really liked about, I think this tank's empty. One of the things I've always liked about the MacDev guns, and something that I talk about all the time, is just that area on that frame, right? Like, I really like how they put the triggers so far out, and this area of the gun is really big. I find that, like, when I'm just holding it, right? I'm gonna turn it off, it's still on. When I hold it, they just fit in my hands really well. So I really like the ergonomics on these things. I really like the trigger and the trigger frame. I've always liked them. I mean, really, since they've been making paintball guns, they've kind of had that similar trigger frame feel. I don't know, I really like them. So I like the ergonomics on these things. My problem with MacDev has always been just that, you know, they're a smaller company. So unless you're kind of willing to take a little bit of a risk, you know, on purchasing an expensive thing like this, $1,000, purchasing something like that from a smaller company sometimes can be risky, you know, like how good the support's going to be and if they're going to have parts when they need it, and, you know, long term, how that looks from these smaller companies is scary sometimes. Whereas, you know, when you buy a 170R from Planet Eclipse, or, you know, you buy a DSR, or, you know, a Shocker amp, those are just bigger companies, so they're able to support the thing easier, right? You look out 10 years in the future and, you know, they're probably hopefully going to still have parts for those things. Whereas MacDev, historically, they kind of have a problem with parts and warranties and manufacturing, not manufacturing, but just like, I don't know, supporting their products far into the future, we'll say. So I don't know. I think that, yeah, these are like a good gun to, like, I don't know, I feel like kind of taking a chance on it, right? You're like, well, it might work really well, it might not. But you definitely know that, you know, the DSR is going to work well, and the 170R is going to work well, and the amp's going to work well. We know those things are good. When these things are kind of still like, what does XDR bolt look like? That is what the XDR, like, literally, that's the whole thing. That's all of it. That is all of it. I don't even know if you can take anything else apart. I really don't know. I think that is everything. Yep. They are going with the, they have a little bit of a, I don't have the autofocus on. They got a little bit of a soft tip right there that's going to be, you know, typical what we're going to see. It's very basic. One of the things that I've kind of always liked about these guns is, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the way they shoot. They have a very, very quick and snappy shot. I mean, I say that I always like the like shot that's on, like, I don't know, the Planet Eclipse guns, or, you know, the old Bob Long guns, or, you know, even the Force have a very, like, quick and, like, snappy quick shot. And these definitely have that, but they're even, like, quicker almost. It's almost like they're not even, like almost not even spool valve. It sort of feels like they're almost pop valve guns, or, you know, a poppet valve gun, like they're like a spider or something like that. They're very quick, which I like. I don't like that super lazy shot. And shooting this, like, I just literally just remembered. I have a friend who's used MacDev guns for a very long time. He loves the things for some reason. He's had the Prime, he had all the drones, a bunch of stuff. And this, he said, shoots extremely similar to his Prime. So if anyone's used a Prime or familiar with any of the other MacDev guns, I think they all shoot very similar. So even this shoots similar. Goddamn fans driving me crazy. How are MacDevs compared to others? You know, not good, right? I don't like the MacDev guns. You know what a good example of why I don't like MacDev guns is? Let's just see. Let's just double check. Okay, we're still good. This is an example of why I don't like MacDev. Wants me to go in dark mode. MacDevPaintball.com. This is just one of the many little things. What is this, right? Like, this is a broken website. The website's been broken for quite a while, right? And like, if I was a consumer, right, like I'm gonna go buy a paintball gun and I'm like, man, there's these 2 new paintball guns out, and you know, one came out from Dye and then one came out from MacDev, so you know, I'm gonna go to these websites and compare them, and I'm like, what is this shit? You know, I'm like, well, at least Dye's website works. I mean, their website might be like, you know, overladen with like animations and like cool things going on, but at least it works. You know, I would go to this website and be like, what is this? I wouldn't buy anything from this company. Right? I mean, you'd be crazy. And then you're like, well, let's go look at the XDR. And you go to the XDR, and you're like, huh, okay, it's taking a while. We go back to Dye's website and, I don't know, just, you know, start clicking stuff and it just works. Meanwhile, I don't know. Did it work? It worked. So you go over here and you're like, cool, check these XDRs out. And over on the Dye website, you got all this information, right? They got like animations and like a cool video about their gun, and like you go into the thing and you're like checking it out and you're like, wow, all this information and all these features. And then this is all the information you get on MacDev's website. You get rubber foregrip, lasered eye system, or lensed eye system, a mechanical frame, which is, you know, separate, a bolt, a battery, and a screen. So like, I don't know, right? I feel like if I was a manufacturer, right? Like if I was the guy who was like, you know, in charge of this stuff, and I was like, man, we got this like pretty high-end product coming out, right? It's $1,000, right? It's $1,000. So I could buy this, or I can buy like an iPhone Pro, you know? So we're competing against this, or you could buy an iPhone Pro. Those are my options, right? Those are the 2 things I could buy for $1,000. So I'd feel like if I was, you know, in charge of all this, I would do the best I could to try to sell the thing, right? That means making a website that works, and like just having manuals available, and like, so here's the mechanical frame. Let's I don't know how to show this. Let's see here. So the one thing that I find very weird about these, and it even kind of weirds me out installing them, we're gonna take out the solenoid here. So I was gonna kind of like wait to kind of like figure out when I should talk about this, but it's okay. Okay, so we have to take off the grip frame, right? We need grip screws, right? So I'm like, okay, we'll take off this one, right? And we're gonna flip, oh, god damn it. Knocking stuff around. Okay, there we have a grip screw. And the thing that's very odd about this is solenoid goes in, golly, I'm all shifted around, hold on. Solenoid, oh my gosh, what is happening? Okay, focus, okay, solenoid, yeah, goes in like that, right? Okay, sorry. Okay, so solenoid goes in, right? And the problem is that this grip screw is supposed to go right in the side. So like, but that's as far as you can put it in. So you can only thread it in like literally one thread like that because it hits the side of the solenoid. So if you screw it in any further like that, literally, see it's holding the solenoid in? But if I unscrew it a little bit, you know, does that. But what's crazy is that if we do that, we'll actually put this on. Okay, it's hitting the solenoid now. And it's like you can't even screw the grips down. It's very, very scary. See, I've actually, because I've not screwed the solenoid down, the grip, screwing this screw in actually shifted the solenoid. You can see it a little bit. So when you screw these grip screws in, they just screw directly into the solenoid. Like, I don't know. That just seems like a bad idea to me. And I mean, that's something like old school paintball guns had a problem with, right? I mean, we had a problem with that, you know, in the 90s and like 2006 or something like that, but it's very weird to like have to worry about that in, you know, 2021 or whatever year that is, whatever year it is. So it's like the solenoid just like line like is so close to the wall on the frame that the screw just goes straight into it. I mean, you can even like see it right there. There's just like no threads. Like the grip screws hold on to like one thread. So this is gonna get stripped super fast. And it's not like just that side. I mean, you get the same exact problem on the other side. The frames, the walls are so thin on the frame and they're so close to like the solenoid. It's just like, I don't know. It's very odd.